Well, team coverage tonight from Colleton County, where it is day 7 of the Alex Murdaugh murder trial. It wrapped up a short time ago. Tonight, a focus on smartphones. We carry them most everywhere we go, and they track our every move and store loads of information.
They do indeed. Looking to be compelling testimony, key testimony, in fact, in this trial. Prosecutors say that Alex Murdaugh's phone will reveal where he was and what was happening on the night of the murders of his wife and son. Our Greg Adaline joins us live in Walterboro tonight to lead off our live team coverage with testimony, Greg, from a key witness.
Yeah, good evening to you, Judy and Dondi. Cell phone data expected to be such a huge component in this case as prosecutors make their case against Alex Murdaugh. But for this afternoon, Lieutenant Brent Dove, he is a forensic analyst with SLED who looks at data collection and looks at smartphones in particular. And he gave some compelling testimony that was tedious at times, but it lasted about 2.5 hours. And in it, he was able to give a step-by-step forensic analysis of what exactly happened with those devices on that night. Now, it took about 6 minutes to rattle off all of his qualifications as he took the stand. It really was a laundry list. His testimony expected to be deeply revealing about Alex Murdaugh's whereabouts the night of the murders. That is a key component to the prosecution's case. Now, in their opening statement last week, you'll remember Creighton Waters waved around a cell phone and said that the evidence will show that Alex Murdaugh's phone tells a story. Every move, swipe, and movement with a smartphone is stored and can be tracked. Prosecutors aiming to use Dove's testimony to definitively tie Murdaugh to the place and time of the murders of his wife and son when Alex Murdaugh said he was asleep. Now, another key point. Earlier in testimony today, it was revealed that Maggie Murdaugh's phone was discovered a short distance from Moselle in airplane mode after the murders. Today, Dove testified that a phone in airplane mode can be wiped remotely if another user has the iCloud passwords. But call data is preserved, and he says that tells a story. Dove walking jurors through some of the information that Maggie Murdaugh's phone gathered on the night of June 7th, 2021, including the moment when Alex Murdaugh said that he called his wife at 9:06, 15 minutes after. Prosecutors say that Alex Murdaugh committed these crimes. Take a listen.
At 9:06:12 shows the start time of an orientation change to portrait.
Okay. And again, in your opinion, what does that tell you about whether this phone is in someone's hand?
In my opinion, it would be in somebody's hand that was changing it from landscape up to portrait, lifting it.
So again, the idea that perhaps somebody picked up Maggie Murdaugh's phone at 9:06, changing it from one setting on the phone to another. The implication there, prosecutors perhaps trying to make the argument that that phone call was made as perhaps that phone was held in the other hand. We shall see how that questioning continues to take form as that testimony continues tomorrow with Lieutenant Brent Dove with SLED, a forensic data analyst. But there were a lot of other analysts and other witnesses who testified today. Our Nick Neville standing by with some of that testimony from earlier on that was also very compelling, Nick.
That's right, Greg. So the defense started the morning off with a blistering cross-examination of SLED agent Jeff Croft over the Murdaugh family guns, seeking to cast doubt over the fact and the allegation that it was a Murdaugh family weapon that was used to kill Maggie and Paul. Defense attorney Jim Griffin speaking about the 300 blackout shells, saying that those rounds are commonly used in rural areas like Hampton County. The state pushing back on redirect, with Croft testifying that of all the criminal investigations he's worked on, none have had 300 blackout as the murder round. Another key moment when the defense took Croft to task over the critical moment during Alex's second interview with investigators, where prosecutors say he appears to make a confession. The audio is unclear, but yesterday Croft testified that he heard Alex say, quote, "I did him so bad," in reference to his son Paul. When pressed today, he said he's 100% confident in what he heard. The defense criticizing SLED for not following up for clarification, the prosecution defending the tactics used in that interview.
Why didn't you ask him What do you mean by that, Alex?
Again, it was early in the investigation. It was more of an information gathering interview, if you would call it an interview, with Mr. Alec. And we did not, at that particular time in the investigation, we did not have evidence to challenge anything that Mr. Alec would have told us.
When you're that early in an interview and you are interviewing someone who might be in the circle, as Mr. Griffin describes it, are you trying to keep your ears open?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you trying to keep the lines of communication open?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you going to confront somebody that early on, or are you going to try to keep the dialogue going?
The defense has asserted that the investigation was solely focused on Alex Murdaugh from the start, possibly failing to look at other suspects. But Croft testified that at the time of Alex Murdaugh's second interview with investigators, they had already interviewed over 100 people. Reporting in Walterboro, Nick Neville, WIS News 10.
Nick, thank you, and Greg as well. And the defense also criticized law enforcement for allegedly not checking Alex Murdaugh's alibi. SLED agent Croft testified that he did not check the home of Alex Murdaugh's mother the day after the murders, but he is not sure what other agents did.